The dining hall roof collapsed 4 seconds after I pulled the metal grate shut. What happened next left everyone speechless. The sky over the auto shop was an ugly bruised orange when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I wiped the grease off my hands with a rag and pulled it out. It was a text from my 14-year-old son, Leo. He was up at Camp Timberline for his first week as a junior counselor. The text just said, "Dad, the smoke is getting really thick here." I walked out to the parking lot and looked up at the mountains. The local news said the ridge fire was 50 miles north and completely contained, but the wind was howling. It was blowing straight down the canyon, carrying ash that looked like dirty snow. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a phone call. Leo was coughing before he even said hello. "Dad," he choked out. "The counselors are freaking out. The main road is blocked by a fallen tree. The fire is on the ridge right above us." I dropped my rag on the concrete. I told him to stay inside the stone dining hall. I told him to wet his shirt and breathe through it. I hung up the phone and ran to my pickup truck. My old dirt bike was strapped in the bed from a weekend trail ride I never got around to unloading. That lazy habit was about to save my son's life. I broke every speed limit getting to the base of the mountain. The air was getting thicker and hotter with every mile. Sirens were blaring from every direction. When I hit the turnoff for the canyon road, 2 state trooper vehicles were parked horizontally across the asphalt. A cop with a megaphone was yelling at a line of panicked parents in cars. The road was closed. The fire had jumped the containment line. I did not stop. I threw the truck into park on the shoulder, unhooked the tie-downs, and rolled my dirt bike off the tailgate. A cop ran toward me, shouting that I would be arrested if I bypassed the barricade. I did not care. I kicked the engine over, popped the clutch, and shot off the pavement onto the old logging trails that ran parallel to the main road. The logging trail was brutal. It was steep, rutted, and covered in loose shale, but it was the only way up. 10 minutes in, the heat hit me like a physical punch to the chest. The smoke turned the daylight into a terrifying, suffocating twilight. Embers the size of golf balls were raining down through the canopy. One hit my shoulder and burned straight through my shirt, but the adrenaline completely muted the pain. I kept the throttle wide open. The roar of the fire was deafening. It sounded like a freight train running constantly right next to my head. Entire pine trees were exploding into torches. The heat was baking the moisture right out of my eyeballs. My lungs felt like they were filled with crushed glass. I finally crested the ridge and looked down into the valley where the camp sat. Half the cabins were already engulfed in flames. I rode the bike straight down the hillside, ignoring the trail completely. I crashed through the brush, dumping the bike twice and tearing up my knee, but I kept getting back up. I dumped the bike right in front of the massive stone dining hall. The wooden porch was starting to catch fire. I kicked the heavy oak doors open. Inside, it was chaotic. Over 40 younger kids were crying and screaming. 3 teenage counselors looked completely paralyzed with fear. And then I saw Leo. He was standing on a cafeteria table. He had a wet bandana tied around his face. He was shouting over the noise, telling the younger kids to stay low to the floor where the air was clearer. He was doing exactly what I told him. I pushed through the crowd and grabbed his arm. He pulled the bandana down and his eyes went wide. "We cannot stay here," I yelled over the roar of the flames outside. "The roof is cedar. It will go up in 5 minutes." One of the older counselors ran up to me, hysterical. He said the lake was a mile away and we would never make it through the woods. I knew the area. I used to hike this mountain when I was a teenager. I remembered an old concrete storm culvert that ran under the mountain to drain the spring runoff. It was huge, made of thick reinforced concrete, and it was only 100 yards behind the dining hall. I told Leo to grab the rope from the emergency firebox on the wall. We tied it into one long lifeline. I made every kid grab the rope with one hand. I told them if they let go, the smoke would hide them forever. I kicked the back exit door open. The heat pushed us backward, but I lowered my head and pulled. I led the line of terrified children out into the burning forest. Embers whipped against our skin. The smoke was so thick I could not see my own boots. I just kept moving forward, feeling for the slope of the ravine. Full story on the channel, link below.